Several civil servant unions are currently considering going on strike. This is because there has been communications that in the midst of the high cost of living, July salaries will delay, and this is not the first time. The first time in this year, or ever since Ruto took over power, was in April, when the civil servants were shocked that there were delays in their salaries. The explanation then was that the little money that had been collected was used to pay the loans ostensibly that had been accumulated by the previous regime. And this is the reason why when civil servants got news that their salaries will delay, they were trembling with fear, because the administration sometimes is not very honest. Let me tell you, sometimes when you deal with a very honest organization, department, or government, whether county or national, when they are honest, you will always take their word without a doubt. Now, this time round, we are informed that the reason for the delays is because they are moving from an old system to a new generated system that will help avert things like ghost workers and double payment. Well, that is wonderful, because if you ask me, the problem that we've had in this country is things like paying workers who are not even there. Someone was telling me that you could be here in Nairobi and you are receiving salary from Nyeri County because you are related to maybe a governor or some politician there. So if the new system will help curb such anomalies, then I agree. The problem that we have about this system is that this is an instruction, a dictate from the IMF. You know, anytime I hear something to do with the US, IMF, World Bank and all this, I get sick and tired, because it is like we've become a colony of these Western nations. And I'm not saying that they are bad. You know, there are things that we receive from, you know, the West and all this that do help us. We must give credit where it's due. But the manner in which they deal with us sometimes makes me think that we don't have any autonomy. We are not an autonomous continent, because they will interfere with everything. Before we do anything, they have to give the green light. Just today, our president has announced through State House spokesperson that he will not be attending Russia-African Summit. And you all know that this is because of his alienation to the Western nation. The US and Britain will not allow him to go and attend this meeting. Yet we know that even in that meeting, there are goodies that Kenyans can enjoy. But because of the supremacy battle and the superpower, global power battle, US and Britain, the Western nation, want to show Russia that they're still on top of things. People are asking one question. If this had been a program, is that it has been in the pipeline, that we were going to move from an old system to a new system, which is something that I've told you I agree with. Why could the government start earlier, so that by the time salaries are being generated, then they're on top of things? I'm just wondering, I don't know whether you are wondering aloud with me, because the priorities of this government has always been one thing. I'm only glad that this time round, it is not about Uhuru Kenyatta and the loans. I think it is because they all understand that just recently, IMF gave William Ruto some billions of shillings, and there were conditions that you've always known. Now, if you think I'm getting it wrong, let me tell you. The IMF gave instructions that William Ruto agreed with. And I just want to repeat a few that we've always talked about in this forum. One of them was to remove and abandon all the subsidies that had been initiated by Uhuru Kenyatta. You all understand that these subsidies were put in place to cushion Kenyans against the high cost of living. The argument has been the subsidies did not reach the right people. For example, subsidies on unga. If that was the case, why can't they just introduce the subsidies but ensure that they reach the right people? That is why I don't buy that argument. Today, the cost of electricity is just too high. The cost of fuel and all this just too high. And this is one of the things that William Ruto signed. Number two, there is a looming retrenchment, because this is something you can find out for yourself. IMF wants the wage bill to come down. In the midst of this unemployment and high cost of living, they are forcing our government to relieve some people of their duty. You can imagine. This is an instruction from the West. We say that Kenya is independent, but we still go and sit down and listen to their instructions. So I'm pained by the fact that in the next few months or years, we have civil servants who are going to be retrenched. Why? Not because William Ruto wants, but because his masters have decided that it has to be so. The IMF has said that they are in support. In fact, not even in support. It was the instruction that the administration adds VAT and taxes on fuel products. The reason why people are on the streets, the reason why police is killing innocent Kenyans, the reasons why Okia Mutata is in court is because of the IMF. Because they have instructed the government that they must increase taxes. Why? When they give you their loan, they want to know how it will be recovered. So they tell you increase the taxes so that we are sure there is money. Remove all the subsidies that are helping people because it is eating into the government's budget so that this money is available for us. They want to know that their loans will be repaid in time. And this is the reason why I'm telling you that for them to instruct again that we are moving from an old system, kindly note that it is not a bad thing. But don't you think it is really embarrassing, sort of, that we have to listen to instructions from other people? And this is why I'm telling you that it is not acceptable. Sometimes we need to sit down as a country and get it right. And I'm telling you, the day we will stop corruption, we will not depend on these nations. But the moment this money is coming and it is getting into a few pockets, then we will continue to be puppets of the Western nations, of the IMF, of the World Bank. Because sometimes I agree we need this loan, but it must not come at the expense of the plight of Kenyans. We are at the height of economic turmoil, yet you tell civil servants that there are going to be delays. I still hold the view that they should have started this earlier so that by this week everything is gone. They should have completed everything. The country, even if you ask William Ruto, will tell you he will not want anything to do with the demonstrations because the country is in a demonstration mood. Anything that triggers people, you will see people in the streets. Why? People are tired. People don't have money. People are idle. Not because they want. There are people who have got very decorated certificates. There are no jobs. There are young men and women who have decided to venture in businesses. The environment is not pacifying for the businesses to grow. You've seen investors running away. And I know you can say that they're running away because of the demonstrations of Azimio. Azimio is only but fighting for the people. I really sympathize with our civil servants. I'll not be surprised if tomorrow there is another narrative why we have salary delays. I will not be surprised if it is another blame game against the previous regime. If you have a friend who is a civil servant and it comes to you, tafadhali, umkopeshe kitu, because you know what is happening. So I really still want to cry out that we stop listening to the West, we stop listening to our foreign masters. We can always decide our issues on our own as long as we remain united, we stop corruption, we do our things the right way. And that is my take.